Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Caronia from English 103, sections 2, 3, and 4. I'm here to give you some direction regarding the Flipgrid assignment. But first, I want to say I'm enjoying reading all of your emails to me, your questions, your concerns. It's so great to meet you through email, through the questions. I'm sorry we're not in person, but we have the second best thing, and I really appreciate you all reaching out. The second thing I want to say is that Hemingway's 5-finger exercises is an exercise that I see designed the same way that athletes do their daily training, the same way artists do their daily practice. A pianist might practice the scales every day, not as a repetitive, mundane, stagnant exercise, but to discover new things in a note, to discover new ways of reaching their fingers if they're on the piano. The same way a football player may feel that some of the drills that they do are excruciating, but at the same time, they find new abilities in those routines. Writers need to do the same thing. And so we need to write. Writing is a physical exercise. And part of what we're doing when we do Hemingway's 5-finger exercise is it's allowing us to reach through the physical limitations. It can be tiring to type at the computer all day. I know. It can also be tired if you're writing in your notebook all day. And so this is a practice that's going to help you be able to do that. The second thing that I want to say is that the Flipgrid exercise is sort of adjacent to this, only this time you get to talk your memory instead of writing it down. It may mean that what you say to us in the Flipgrid is completely different than what you've written, and that's fine. The more information you have about food, about an experience with food, the more information you have to write an essay. And that's the most important thing to me. I've given you 3 examples in Unit 1. One is an Anthony Bourdain article about what it was like to work in a kitchen, a restaurant kitchen or kitchens. And he has a lot of very visceral feeling in that essay. My friends MJ Yupa and Nick DiCario, they both write about their own experiences that are connected to family, that are connected to work, that really come from working class backgrounds. And I thought that that would be important, that all 3 pieces really talk about working class and what it means to be working class, but none of them put that forward as the thing. None of those pieces talk about themselves being as working class. So in this Flipgrid, I want it to be super simple. You have 1.5 minutes to just tell us a story. And I'm going to tell you a story so you can see an example. And this story comes from me when I was tiny. I was maybe 3 years old. And my parents and my relatives, we went to a Chinese restaurant. We were celebrating something, I don't remember what. I sat next to my dad. And my dad, you know, I loved him, right? There he was, and I'm hanging on everything he does. And they figured that when we went to the Chinese restaurant, I would just eat a little bit of soup and some white rice. But they brought out lobster Cantonese, which in those days was actually an upcharge. You know, they always ordered off of the columns, column A and column B. And lobster Cantonese was very expensive and an upcharge. And I looked at it because my dad was eating it, and I just was like, I want to be like my dad. You know, there he is, just sucking up the lobster and really enjoying. I could see the sounds of him going, and I was like, I want that. And my Auntie Annie looked at my father and said, you're going to have trouble with this one. She's going to have expensive tastes. He gave me a little bit of the lobster sauce and a piece of the lobster, and I ate it up, and I held it in my mouth. And I looked at him, and I went, I really like this. I want more. 3 years old, more. And in that moment, my father looked down at me, and he shook his head, and he said, oh boy, what am I going to do with you? And that pretty much sums up my relationship with my dad. Every time I wanted to try something new, every time I took a risk beyond what we knew in my family as working class people, it was always, what am I going to do with you? What I didn't know was that behind my back, he was telling my relatives, the only kid I'm not worried about is Nancy. The only one that I know is going to be fine is Nancy. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why he never shared it with me, as though he needed to somehow put a cage around my ambition or my risk-taking. But then behind my back, he said, she's going to be fine. I have a whole essay that I want to write about this. I have other Chinese restaurant stories. I have other stories about my dad and his work. But this piece feels important to me to start from a place of, what do I do? What do I know? Who am I? I would like you have 1.5 minutes to share a story Keep it simple. Be silly. It's okay. Silliness is good. We don't have to be perfect when we're writing. Toni Morrison says the writing is in the revision. All of this that we're doing this week is pre-writing, is helping you figure out your ideas. And there's no judgment about does it work or doesn't it work yet, okay? I look forward to seeing your Flipgrids and looking through the syllabus. I see some anxiety in the syllabus exercise. I want you all to say, it's okay. I know you don't know me. You can't trust me really 100% yet, but I got your backs, okay? Have a great day, everybody.